Hi, I'm Troy,
And this is Geek Tank.
your glurp glurp size podcast.
Glurp, glurp, glurp,
Hmm.
glurp. Totally know what you've been reading.
I finished one, so I'm done with book one. Which, when you're already up to like book 8 or 9 or whatever they're at, you probably don't even remember where the segments of the stories even
Yeah,
changed from
that
books.
was exactly what that look on the face, my face
Hmm.
was. I know you're referencing a specific character in a specific scene,
Yeah.
and did not in my head remember that being at the end of book one, but rather thought it was like book two or book three or.
Hmm.
But no,
Yeah.
apparently
No.
it's book one because
And,
I
and
have
yeah, they
absolute
get
faith.
they get to that show in book one.
Yeah.
So, and I'm sure it's coming back. So, um,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
yes, it's a
it'd be stupid if it didn't. So,
it's such a
yeah.
yeah, well, and he comes up with such great things that
Hmm.
well, and like we were just discussing, which was you know, the whole concept of he brings stuff back. Everything's
Oh,
a
yeah.
Chekhov's whatever.
Yeah.
Nothing is uniform.
Yeah, it didn't take a lot of deduction, but when early on in the book, we're talking about Dungeon Crawl Carl, by the way. Um, when everything was being explained, I'm like, okay, I know exactly where this book's going to end, and I was right. So I can't imagine anybody else in the same situation wouldn't have been able to make the guess. But most people, when they read a book, unless if they're prompted, I don't think they think ahead in that way. It's like if a question's not posed, I don't think a reader tries to think of an answer to a question that hasn't been asked yet. If that makes any sense with my vagueness.
Yes.
Yeah. So.
When we hit the kill button on this,
Mhm.
you may have to tell me
Elaborate.
after in the
Sure.
green room because I'm kind of like I think I follow what you're saying. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, somebody else had told me. I think it might have been you. But book three is about where it really starts to try to hook readers, and that's where you'll become addicted to the cult. So, as somebody
Was
had
not
told me.
me.
Okay.
However, that tracks. So
Mhm.
I'm going to definitely agree with you.
Okay.
Um, it's interesting because this past weekend I was at Fort Collins Comic Con and I met our mutual friend Rachel Renner. And we talked for like 7,000 hours. I'm sure that it was one of those things where, since I was helping my buddy Raphael table, I'm sure he was very aggravated that I disappeared forever because
Hmm.
she and I got into this really fascinating discussion. And the funny part is that she of course, as you might imagine, managed to get me to buy one of her books, which does not surprise me. But she is one of my more beloved favorite authors, so this isn't a bad horrible thing. But I
Hmm.
do think that it was funny that she managed to get me to buy one of her books. However, I did buy one of her books on Amazon, not on the Kindle, not in real life, which
Ah,
is good. I'm trying not to have any more books
because yeah,
hanging
because
out behind me.
yeah,
This is all the books I'm trying to keep.
books
Anything
make
past
moving
this here,
suck. Yeah.
right? Anything past here is going to be difficult to move if I move, if that ever
Mhm.
happens. We don't know. Anyway, the long and the short of this is that she and I were talking about Dungeon Crawler Carl and how it addicts everybody,
Mm.
and it's funny. But we were talking about lit RPG as a genre, and that's a fascinating genre in and of itself. So, for those of you not familiar with lit RPG, this is a literary genre of which it's clearly a game of some sort, whether this would be a tabletop role playing game or a video game or whatever. There's something,
Mm.
some mechanic in the book that's constantly operating in much the same way a RPG would be, which was why in, for example, Dungeon Crawler Carl, it's always things like the number of viewers or their stats or attributes or things like that. And the fact that, they've got enough power to do this or enough power to do that, or they require mana potions or something. So, by the way, just acknowledging that Brent is here. We have
Yay.
no fear. Or should we have fear? I can't remember these days. It's always so difficult.
curious what the first one was, because I'm sure it's not Ready Player One, although Ready Player One falls into that category.
It does.
The exact first lit RPG is hard to pin down because the genre evolved over decades before the term officially was coined in Russia. Interesting. In 2013. However, early milestones include Andre Norton's Quag Keep in 1978. Neat. Earliest book inspired by Dungeons and Dragons and Japanese light novels like Sword Art Online or early VR MMO stories. So interesting.
Yeah, and Japanese light novels are a very interesting subgenre as well. I really like the concept of the Japanese light novel, which is it's light in that it's smaller and not a 300-page omnibus, but still has a complete, all hail mighty Princess Donut chunk.
You missed all the other stuff that goes in front of that.
Yeah, there's a ton that goes with her,
which I have not memorized, nor do I think I ever will, unless if I know I'm going to trivia night or something.
Right. Although, and this is another one. Let's see. I like how you're like, am I in the wrong restream? No, you're not in the wrong restream. It's fine.
Yeah, because you weren't here, and you usually beat me here. So
yep, I did, and this is gonna be hard to see.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, there was that was at a car that was at the photo. Yeah.
Did you see the busted window one? Let me find it real quick. If I can find it.
The busted window one.
It might have only been on like one of the fan pages. All right, I found the unbroken one, so I could show you the unbroken one and explain how the broken one looked.
The donut holes. Yep. And by the way, my Starship also happened to have the Tomy Enterprise up there, which was so cool. I got to see it in person.
Fun.
That's the one that Tomy is actually releasing, and it's lit, and oh man, it's so pretty.
Did you see the Enterprise popcorn holder that I sent you?
Yep, I saw that.
So something coming out in the theater. I didn't really read the whole thing.
So in
I'll go ahead and do this real quick. Actually,
do this real quick.
So someone on Facebook had posted a picture, and they were in a car wreck where they got hit from behind, and this area all through here was entirely gone, and there's like jagged pieces like this with it looking like Carl was running away from it. And somebody had posted as a response, as a comment, "You will not break me." So,
that's awesome.
So yeah,
actually works really well.
But it was
to answer your question,
yes,
September 8th is the 60th anniversary of Star Trek. So on the 60th, a lot of movie theaters are going to run various combinations of things. For example, they're going to show the Changeling and Star Trek 1 because they are both similar in style. And then, of course, Space Seed and Star Trek 2, and and so on and so forth. Right. Where they're showing all of the connected movies that kind of connect those two together in some thread to its original series. But they're going to run both of them. And I actually am like totally on board with the idea of going and seeing Space Seed and Star Trek 2 and back to back, because I will always love seeing Star Trek 2 in the theaters. Yeah, that can always just be awesome. There's never a reason not to do that. So I think
I don't know what my schedule is going to be, but let me know when you plan on it.
I'll take you with me. Yeah, if you're available, I'll take you with me.
I can get another picture of me with Khan sticking his head out of the popcorn bucket.
Yep. The popcorn buckets, though, are ridiculous. I feel like
they're probably $30 or $40, right?
Yeah, or more. There were cool little popcorn buckets that for something else that we went to, and I was like, "Oh, I'll get the popcorn bucket." And I remember them saying it's going to be $70 for the popcorn and the popcorn bucket, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, I don't need it that bad. I don't even need an Enterprise that bad." Like
Mhm.
that's more than I'll do even in my fandom. And whatever it was we were getting, wasn't in our fandom, so or wasn't in my primary fandom. Because I will always, there are things. Oh, I got Kiddo their very first Starfleet uniform
Oh,
because I met with the humanists, whom I'm always fond of. For those of you who are not familiar with what humanism is a offshoot of atheism, which is very much on encouraging the belief that atheists have a moral base. So, in other words, it's a response to people who say atheists have no morals, is this humanist group, which is the group of people who say our morals are that we're good to all the other humans. But Trekkies specifically really are attracted to the humanist groups because that's very close to a lot of the theories and principles of Star Trek in a lot of ways, because Star Trek's very secular in its design, but has very strong structured morals. Oh, I already paid for the Lego Enterprise, so when it's released, they're just mailing it to me. So that's a done deal. But anyway, the humanists were there, and I love talking to those guys because they're Trek humanists.
mhm.
So, in other words, they're always there in uniform, just like the starships are, but they typically do all kinds of different things. This time they were running their podcast, and the podcast was, pretty much going around asking everybody what principle of Star Trek is the one that most influenced your life. And I ended up not even talking to them because I figured I would be 3 podcasts in before they'd be able to be like, well, we're out of time.
Yeah.
Because all of my life is run by all the principles of Star Trek. But they had up on the wall just this lower decks command uniform. And they were like, we're selling it for $20. And I'm like, yep, well, it's too small for me, but
Mhm.
kiddo. So got it for my kiddo
Nice.
and gave it to my kiddo this morning because they were already asleep. Yeah, that was my phone. I think my new microphone is very because I don't know if you guys have noticed the RGB microphone here, but it is very much not cardioid. So it's picking up everything all the way around. It does have a volume control on it, which I think is cool, but that's neither here nor there. I think there's a way to make it more cardioid, but I feel like that's harder than it looks. But anyway, I like it because it goes glowy.
Yeah. So I looked it up just because I was curious, and there's actually 4 products coming out for the Star Trek popcorn stuff. The cheapest thing's called the Heritage Edition NCC 1701 for $45, and I'm not entirely sure what that is because I'm having trouble matching pictures to it.
Right.
I'm sorry, that's not the cheapest. The cheapest is the uniform popcorn bucket. So it's a popcorn bucket that looks like it's wearing the uniform. So it's just like a red shirt, blue shirt, or gold shirt popcorn bucket for
Hang,
20
hang,
bucks. I'm
hang
holding
on
on.
real quick. Brent, you can pre-order it. That's all. Because that's where I paid for it on the Lego website. So just
Yeah.
letting you know. Please
So it
continue.
should be showing up at your house at some point then soon.
Right. Well, no, it's not released till September 1.
Oh, okay.
You're saying.
Okay. But yeah,
Sorry.
the popcorn bucket with just the shirt is $20. Then you have the $45 Heritage Edition. Don't know what that is. Then a 69 one for Final Frontier Edition. Then the 55-ounce Enterprise Ship Bucket, which I assume is the one with the lid, as you had said, $79.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I wouldn't. If I were spending $79, it'd have to be accurate. Like,
Right. Well, I mean, you could get a good model for that price, a
yeah,
really good model.
That's what I mean. Is at some point I just feel like that's way past my concept.
Of course, maybe I'm doing the old man thing. Back in my day, a ship with popcorn in it cost $2.
Right.
But yeah, that's disappointing.
Yeah, that is.
At least it wasn't an inappropriately shaped SETI eel popcorn bucket with an opening in it. Questionable opening.
Just gonna say for the record,
Yep. Like I love how they made fun of that with the deep with his mouth open as the popcorn
yeah.
bucket. So let's see, where are we? Um,
I'm trying to see whether, gosh, it's aggravating how irritating two-factor is. I mean, I get the idea that, I mean, I understand why two-factor is important, but every time I log into every account now, it's you've got to bring up your phone and type in a bunch of numbers, and then you got to put your fingerprint in and submit some DNA, prick finger, put blood on there, and all I want to do is just check, see what my status of my order is. Right.
you'll never know.
Right. Let's see here. My orders. In process. Right. It doesn't say anything about shipping or anything like that.
Should get a tracking number at some point when it ships.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Is it's not. There's no track to it yet. There's an order number. It definitely has been ordered.
Well, that's good. That means it's going to happen.
Oh yeah. And I actually, while I was here, I was trying to get other things added to my, because I've got a collection. So like, you know, how many sets can you add to your collection? And so, in other words, the Lego website will track all of your sets. And it's just funny because it couldn't track all of them because you could, you know, there was a way you could type in the numbers of the sets, and it just doesn't even recognize some of the sets I have because they're so old. Like I've got some of the space sets that go all the way back to the 70s, and I'm like, that's kind of interesting because it wouldn't be hard for their database to know the set numbers from those. And so it's weird that they don't recognize some of those sets. In fact, it goes back to pretty much the 90s. And then before that, it just really doesn't understand it. Like, it's so weird. Which wish that it would, because, you know, some of the sets that I have owned in the day would be really wild to put into that thing. So anyway, I'm just fascinated because Lego is in and of itself an interesting thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Mm-hmm. Since we were talking Star Trek, I just decided to jump on and see if I could find the animated series Attack Wing Faction Pack, because that has everything in it that I want for the Kobayashi Maru setup that we're going to do.
Right,
And what is interesting is I found a place in Britain that has one left. I don't know if it's going to get here in time, though, since it's coming from Britain. But considering I only see two other options for sale in there, 4 times to 5 times more than the other one, it's like maybe I should jump on this while I have the chance.
Yeah. Well, and now that I actually have the Kobayashi Maru model,
yeah, I just don't know when it's going to get here. It says 7 to 14 days. That would be quick enough, I think.
I think it would.
Let's try it. So we'll see, because it comes with 3 of the D7s and the Enterprise.
Yep.
And I definitely don't have 3 functional D7s with dials and everything.
Right. The dials are the important part.
Somewhere I have one, and I have the Classic Enterprise with its dial and stuff. But so we'll see. Well, there we go. So
That works.
and then I'll just have to get. I haven't spent very much money for my budget this year, so I don't feel bad doing this because I can lump it into the budget with it, and it's insanely cheap compared to all the other prices. And there's another game I have to get because the theme this year for NDK is travel, and there is a board game that I have seen and heard good things about but have not yet played called Let's Go to Japan. I don't think you can get too much more on theme unless if it was Let's Go to an anime convention.
That's the game we will be playing next. Is Let's Go to the Anime Convention.
Yeah, 1 to 4 players. It's got a 7.6 on Board Game Geek, which is a really high score when you have 8,000 people that have rated it so far.
Right.
But yeah, you create a travel itinerary and go on your dream vacation to Japan is the board game. So I knew it existed, but I wasn't in a rush to get it for the dojo yet. But I knew I was going to at some point. But then when I remembered at the meeting that we had recently that it was that was the theme, I'm like, well, it has to happen now for this time. And the nice thing is it says the playtime ranges between 45 minutes to 60 minutes, which is I don't really want to have too many games that go more than 2 hours at a convention because I don't know who's going to want to sit down and play a game more than 2 hours at an anime convention. At a board game convention, that's completely different. But yeah, you know who I should ask about getting that game from?
Yeah. You should ask about getting that game from. Wait, oh crap! There we go. From our sponsors, which are Kieran Games, Geek Way Homes, and your
mom. Although the first one probably would be the only one I would ask. I wouldn't necessarily ask your mom about getting Let's Go.
I don't know. Yeah, well,
I don't know.
It's kind of back to that original point that I was making a couple of weeks ago about when we were talking about the Olympics. It was the thing that was so fascinating about that. Well, yeah, when you're out here, Brent, you can play the games.
Yeah.
And depending on when things are going, you may have to play my part because I've got a lot. I'm going to be doing 7 panels. There was a competition between me and Dr. Friedman as to who would do more panels, I guess. So
that's what you get for not letting it go.
Right.
I'm curious. I just went to the same website and now it's sold out because I just bought it. So it was true. They only had 1 copy left. And I checked with Kieran Games a while back asking if they could look for this, and they were pretty sure they didn't have it. And I hadn't heard back.
Yeah.
So I did tap that source first.
Tap that source, man. So
crazy. Yep. But yeah, the idea is someone in the dojo that knows how to play the game will play the 3 D7s, and the attendee has to use the equipment and the crew and the ship that they're given to get the Kobayashi Maru from one side of the map to the other side of the map safely. It will be probably impossible, which is how the Kobayashi Maru is supposed to be.
Was supposed to be, yeah.
But it's a dice game, and everyone knows how dice go. So if you're really lucky, the person playing the Klingons might roll absolute crap, and you might win. And we will have a hopefully a Kobayashi Maru trophy for the winner. Did you get more than one?
I did.
Okay.
Would you like the other one?
I'd like to make a trophy out of it for whoever can actually defeat this thing.
I'm on board with that plan.
And we'll see how
easy.
We'll see how long how many years it takes for someone to win.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, this should be fun. I'm going to run see it not going to have the Halo miniature game. I don't have a set for the dojo, and I don't have anybody from the company or anybody local with stuff that wants to come in and run it.
Right.
But my current policy as the area head is if you have a game and you have everything you want for that game and you want to bring that game in and run it for people, and you're going to do it to where it's collectively 4 hours or more long, then I will get you a day pass for that day because you are providing entertainment for attendees for a chunk of time that I considered enough to be what they would call a volunteer. You're
Right.
just getting through the process. I have a guest GM coming in who I've never met, who messaged the convention and asked if they could come in and run games. They didn't even ask for the day passes. They just like, who do I talk to about getting a place to do this? I'm like, oh, if you're going to come in and run role playing games and you're going to do it for 4 hours or more, I'll get you a day pass for every day that you do that. So,
Right. Right.
because I want this place to be more about events, demos, and tournaments with a library as being secondary.
I agree. So, what? How late are you going to be running open this year?
Same as always, 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
because that's when I was told we had to close because operations shuts down at 3.
Okay.
I've had
Only saying that because I was like, I might come down there
Mhm.
and play again, but I'm trying to plan around a lot more of a go back to the room, crash out for a while, then come downstairs
Mhm.
and continue instead of before where I was like, I've got to be like running the entire time and then, completely coming unglued at some point, So,
Yeah, I've got a backlog of games that I need to play, so that way I can run it. I was given last year the role playing game Cyberpunk Red, not Red, just Cyberpunk. I think it's the artwork is from the Netflix series, so I don't
so
know.
are you talking about, you said the role playing game, right?
Yes, the
Because
role
I have
playing game,
read too. Yeah.
and it has the artwork of the anime on the front of it.
Sounds
Yeah, it's
cool.
like a yellow box. I don't know if that's the same one that you have. Um,
Mine's all PDFs, as with everything,
oh,
because
so
I've only been trying to get stuff that does not take
there
up any space.
is no box. Let's see. Oh, it's called Cyberpunk Edge Runners, the RPG.
Well, Red has a extended for it. Well, Red had an extended for Edge Runner, so that might still be the same one.
Might be.
Because I know that there's an extension for Cyberpunk 2077 too, for Edge Runners. I got Cyberpunk running just in time for me to have to go to bed.
Yep. Good job.
Very funny.
Oh, nice.
That'd be cool.
I wouldn't mind running that, but again, I would need several weeks to prepare for it. But yeah, I was looking through the rules and I'm like, I don't think I want to run this year for sure. I want to at least run it like 3 or 4 sessions outside of the convention with people to make sure I'm comfortable with it. There's other game systems I know well enough that I can improvise in without having to look at the rule book every 5 minutes just to figure out how to do things.
Well, and that's where I am. I'm going to probably be, I'm thinking if I'm going to do any games at all, it'd be Savage Worlds because that's the one I've been running recently. Mm-hmm. And so Savage Worlds is at least a system that I am familiar with.
Nice.
Run with one of our sponsors, as a matter of cosmic fact, because
cool.
We've been doing that with Nate. He's been part of our Expanse group. And now we're moving on to Traveler, oddly, which is cool. So
a total shift in characters or trying to transfer the characters over to Traveler?
Oh, no. It's different, different era, different world, different everything. So, and we're going to be playing Traveler. And for those of you who are not familiar with Traveler is one of the oldest RPGs. So it dates back to the late 70s, early 80s. I do remember playing Traveler at some point in junior high. But like what I really remember at a Traveler was they had the most beautiful deck plans for all their ships. So like you knew where everything was in the ships, and a lot of the game was running around the ships with your minis. So we'd be running around the ship. So we're looking forward to that. Except this game, apparently, the GM actually purchased off of the internet somewhere. Somebody had made a 3D version of one of the ships, which has each deck. You pull it off, and you can see all the little rooms with all the little beds and all the little. And so your minis actually can run around inside this beautiful, like the landing gear folds up and stuff like that. It's just ridiculous. It's completely over the top, but really, really cool. Um, but yeah, so hopefully, then that'll be an interesting game. But the problem with Traveler is it's got an interesting quirk, which has made it very famous over the
Hmm.
years. And I'm curious as to whether our GM is going to do this or not. But one of the quirks of Traveler is you do your entire character life path in character creation. So you build all of the character up to wherever the character is, and you can during creation roll your character was killed. So your character can literally die in character creation.
Yeah,
And
it was.
back in the day, that was and then you're done. Like
Well, now you got to make a new character.
right. But now he said he's got some. There have been homebrew versions of it for many years. One of the homebrew versions is you can either roll the character to that point. The problem is the character creation is complicated, difficult, and lots of steps. So you'll literally spend 3 or 4 hours going through all this stuff with a character to only have him get killed right there just before the end of the character creation. Then you got to start all over again with 3 to 4 years, or 3 to 4 hours, 3 to 4 years, 3 to 4 hours of character creation. So this modified homebrew is kind of interesting because one of the things he said was you can have either a near death experience or spin that off to be a character that is related to your character, so that like a brother or a sister or your mom or your dad or something like that, because then all of that intimate detail because it's somebody very close to you, and gives your character this spin,
Hmm.
of angst, because it fits really well. So I thought that was kind of cool. We had to go through like the world. So last Thursday night was the first game, and it was session 0.0 because next week is 0.5. So that because we haven't built the characters yet, we just need to kind of get and here's how the universe fits, and here's the universe, because like a lot of us haven't played it since junior high.
So I'm looking up some stuff, and apparently the very first version, where death was mandatory on that roll, was classic, and then every edition after that either had it as an optional roll, or actually some editions left it out entirely.
Yeah.
Usually replaced with an injury roll as opposed to a death roll. Um, and what I thought was interesting too, because I only know a little bit about it. I've never actually built a character in the system. Um, but it was there for people to push their luck when they're doing character generation. And the further you pushed your luck, the more likely you were going to have a problem. And I remember one of them being that if you eventually, because you're rolling on all of your character creation, it's like, what happened next? And you roll on a chart. And one of the options was you ended up in the military, so you've got military background service. And as you're
Sure.
rolling along those charts, if you keep pushing your luck and you're going into training, you could die during training. And that it was like a 1 in 6 chance because everything was D6s.
Right.
Um, and so that's what I remember about that. Somewhere in my pile of stuff, I've got one of the earlier editions of Traveler, but I don't know which edition it is. But it was the small black books, which I think they continued for multiple editions.
I think so too. Yeah. I'm just
Now, don't know if the new edition is going to copy the same size and format. But
right.
I remember nothing about the world of it because I didn't really play in it. Whereas Star Frontiers, I remember the glop creatures and the flying monkey creatures and everything.
Yep. For those of you who are wondering, those would be the Dralicites and the Yarzarians.
And there you go.
I do love my charts.
Hmm.
Which
That's why you like ice. Not, hey, I just realized that's no longer cool.
I know.
I never made that connection because the charts are really cool and the other isn't. Um, what did that system stand for?
Iron Crown Enterprises.
Okay, but
But
they
they
had.
weren't, it wasn't ever called ICE anyway. It was called ICE.
Oh, okay.
So,
But they had like all the charts.
mm,
So,
yep. But that was when we were at the con, I didn't bring anything to sell because I'm kind of almost out of uh almost completely out of stock, and so I don't have any comics to sell. And I've been thinking about a design shift for my starship, which would require a slight change to things like the deck plans and stuff like that. So, because one of the things I thought would be really interesting and probably is more reasonable is to have the ship effectively be a skeleton with a whole bunch of escape pods attached to it, so that in case the ship is actually destroyed, the escape pods would automatically be released from the ship instead of having to have you run down 6 hallways and go down 3 ladders and through this little door and then type in the code to open. Instead, your station is ejected, and like wherever you were sitting, you're still sitting there, but the rest of the ship is gone. And I thought about that, and I thought that'd probably be a more, I mean, anytime you're not in a battle situation, all the doors between all the escape pods are open and you just walk in between all of them. But then when the ship goes to battle stations, those doors close so that if anything happens, they're just ejected and you're, wherever you are. And I thought about that. And then I also wanted to integrate my other life forms into it a little bit better. So I came up with a different design ethic for it. And in doing so, that means I probably will go back and redo it. But that also means redoing some of the sets that we saw, which means a handful of the scenes in the comic book will have to be redone. So they get a new ship. So yeah, I mean, and Brent's making a comment like, really, do you have to redo it before you're done finishing the story? And I was like, well, I mean, I guess I don't really have to, but
we got to crash it at the end of every season, right?
right. It's just like in Star Trek where they
Yeah.
were doing that in the movies for a while. They're just blowing up the ship all the time. I hate it whenever that was one of the things I think I really hated, which was there were some moments in Star Trek that are pivotal and epic and like so critical to the world and everything like that. And it has been 5 years. I also went and started a different career path. So, in the middle there. So there are all these things like the moments that Trekkies remember are going to always be Khan and Spock's death and the death of the Enterprise. And it's so frustrating that they constantly try to repeat those 3 things over and over and over. And they don't come up with something else that would be pivotal. Instead, they keep coming back to either having Khan or killing off Spock or blowing up the Enterprise, which in doing so cheapens the original moments as well. Like, not only does it not make it as powerful when they do it, but it cheapens the moment as well, And so, I mean, I get that they want to make such a big pivotal thing, but they're able to do that without doing that, Having the Borg go back in time to First Contact was a big moment. I mean, like, that was a big deal. It had nothing to do with blowing up the Enterprise or killing Spock, or, you know what I mean? Like, Khan wasn't involved. There's all kinds of things we could do. So there is a website out there called Veritasium, or a YouTube channel called Veritasium, and my kid and I have been watching it a lot, and it's really interesting for those of you who are interested in not just science but super hard science. It's a good YouTube channel. It's relatively professionally made. I mean, it comes across kind of like a Discovery Channel documentary or something like that. I mean, like, it's upbeat and got cool music and nice graphics and stuff like that. But we've been watching one or so of those. That's actually why I was late tonight, was because we had only 8 minutes left when you messaged and said, I'm already in. And I'm like, should we stop at 8 minutes? I mean, like, we know 1 minute of it's credits. So, like, really? It's like 7 minutes to, and it was like 11 minutes to the show. So I was like, okay, I could do that. So, but the interesting thing was tonight's episode that we were watching, because my kiddo just picks one, and the episode that we were watching was unified field theory and black holes, and how black holes, the history of how black holes got to where they were, and all of the weird problems you get from the mathematics of black holes, because the field equations will stabilize a black hole. But if you just go by Einstein's data by itself, there's theoretically all this wild stuff that could happen that ends up spinning off extra universes and all this extra stuff that exists inside all of these things. And that's why you have to use the field equations as well, because if you just go by the math, that's where your infinite universes come from, is because people who do science fiction will hear somebody like Dr. Feynman explain black holes by Einstein's theories. And if you do, you end up with an alternate universe, and you end up with white holes, and you end up with all of these like bits and pieces of things that are all science fiction. And nope, haven't seen the one where he hacks the cell phone. So, but what was so funny was we went through that whole episode, and then with like 4 or 5 minutes left before Geek Tank, kiddo looks at me and goes, okay, but real quickly before you go, can you explain Hawking radiation? And I'm like, with 4 minutes to show, you want me to explain Hawking radiation? I mean, it's going real quickly. Can you just explain how Einstein's theory of general relativity works? I can't do that with 4 minutes or 5 minutes. But what's so funny is we'll watch these things and I'll be like, oh, we're coming up on Bode's law, and then here's Euler, and then, or Euler, and then, oh yeah, we're going to be talking a little bit about Schrodinger's principal theories, and then this is Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. And like, as soon as I say it, they'll start talking about it on the show. And I'm like, at least I don't feel like I'm not equipped to be a science teacher, because I'm about to start my first semester as a science teacher, for those of you guys who are wondering. Science and English and history. But the English and the history are probably what I'm not as worried about, but the science, of course, you can't be inaccurate with science. Can't be inaccurate with history and English either, but at least they're more of a forgiving thing. You don't have to sit up there with the formulas and stuff. So I've been sitting there going, well, at least I don't feel bad about like I'm ill-equipped to be a science teacher. So I'm looking forward to being a science teacher on that one. That one sounds like fun. So I like the fact that he works really hard to pronounce all the names correctly, because I've always said things like Schwarzschild radius, because his name is Schwarzschild. That's the way it looks. except that he pronounces it in German, which ends up sounding more like Schwarzschild, right? And I'm like, oh, okay. So now I'm trying to reprogram my brain to call it Schwarzschild because it's Schwarzschild, and that's more what it's pronounced.
Hmm.
And Euler, which I've always pronounced as Euler, is actually pronounced Euler, and that makes sense too. So I'm trying to remember to reprogram my brain to say this, especially since Kiddo, by the way, has been stunning me. For me, my school starts on the 24th. So I've got that's so a week from tonight is my first classes, which is why I'm over here doing my syllabi, my silly buses. I'm doing life science right off the bat, which with my upper class means reproduction. That's gonna be fun. So I have a co-teacher, and we split sort of the tasks, and she ended up taking the math, which was exactly what I was hoping for. So she took math classes, but she also pawned off life science on me. And I don't mind. I love life science. Life science makes total sense for me. I'm an anthropologist. We just went through this, and I'm like, hey, I will do all kinds of Punnett squares with these kids. Nobody likes Punnett squares, so it'll be fun for all of us.
You can do and then the stork brings the
right, but she was like, there's a reason for that, because you don't want to be with a bunch of pubescent boys and be the only female teacher trying to do sex ed. And I was like, oh, that's fair. I'm not going to back away from it. So it's like, it's not going to bother me any, but I can totally see not wanting to be a female teacher and having to deal with sex ed with a bunch of pubescent boys. I get that. That makes sense. But it was kind of funny and cool. I mean, like, I get it. But yeah, she and I are really like getting along really well, which is good because we're teaming up on this one. We're both, being the science teacher team, but she got physical science and astronomy, and I'm kind of sad about that, but that's okay. We might swap next year. So, and I'll take astronomy. But that's all right. That's all right. So we get to start out with cells. But the first thing I'm doing, so I got English and I've got life science. And with life science, the very first thing I'm doing is we're going to talk about the scientific method and make sure my kids know how to do the scientific method. Because so many people online, I argue with all these people online, and they don't even understand the bare functioning of the scientific method. They don't even understand how it works. And so it's like so frustrating because it's like, oh, come on, guys.
Join us next week when we talk about the scientific method.
Like,
all of a sudden, the viewership, bloop.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, my one of my kiddos also starts next week, but they're doing the virtual academy, so most of the stuff will be asynchronous online, and that they are happy with that. And then my other one actually went to Red Rocks today for their first class that they're doing, Art 101, and they're
Nice.
it's like I'm really worried because they're only doing the really basic stuff, and I'm already bored.
Right.
Yeah, and like, well, you need to prove to them that you know how to shade and draw an apple before they're going to let you move on to the super creative stuff. So
yeah,
as a teacher,
girl shading is.
Yeah, they got to teach you the basics before they move on, because otherwise they're not doing their job. And just like martial arts, before you learn to do a jumping spinning kick, you probably should learn how to do a front kick.
Yep. Or learn how to hover. One of the two.
Hover. Just become a parent or a teacher, because they both hover.
Yeah. Also true. So,
yep. But there's all that.
One of us says Brent.
Yeah, all one of us. One of us.
Oh. Yeah. So today I spent most of the day arguing with Google. Trying to get logged into my Google Classroom, finding out that under my school ID, it just keeps defaulting to my normal Google ID. And then my normal Google ID is not a teacher, so I can't use the Google Classroom. So you click on the Google Classroom and it brings it up, and then it says, you can't do anything here. You're not a teacher. And I'm like, I am a teacher. And then I look to see who's logged in, and it's my normal login. And I'm just like, so I spent most of the day doing dumb stuff like this. Like this was what I did all day long today. There's just a whole bunch of trying to straighten out the pipes on all of these things. And I managed to get none of my classroom stuff done. But this week I need to get like all my classroom stuff planned out so that I've got stuff to do with my kids so that, you know, we follow the curriculum that the state has declared needs to be done. I actually am kind of impressed with what sixth grade needs to know how to do by the time they clear sixth grade. You know, like for English, they've got to be able to make a coherent argument and defend it. And you know what I mean? Like there's some valuable debate kind of skills they need to have. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. Yeah, so that's part of what we were. Yeah, I mean, I'll figure that out. I don't know. So when it was under the ad account in my main account, that's when I was having the problem. So I had to separate it, see if it would work otherwise. I actually am starting to suspect that they accidentally did not set me up for Google Classroom. They said they would. I think that it just never got done. You know what I mean? Like, but I'm supposed to have Google Classroom. That's where homework is done. So, you know, homework is so, but it is kind of funny. I got for the first time in my life a Jefferson County school email address, which is funny because I'm from Jeffco Public Schools, but I graduated before email existed, so they never gave me an email address. I wonder how many teachers though just keep using their like student email address, like convert it over, you know,
since it's all the same.
Working in the, because I can't be the only person who's still working in the same school district that they grew up in, you know. So, but I'm in my same school district, so everything's the same, and that was kind of funny. I think it was even funnier because they, you know, it's clear that once they reactivated my school account, though, a lot of other things locked into place. So it, you know, like they started to see that I was once a Jeffco student. They saw that my child is a Jeffco student. You know what I mean? Like they were clicking a whole bunch of stuff together in these things. So they're, which is actually not a bad thing, because that means that if anything occurs, the school district knows what to do about all kinds of stuff. You know what I mean? Like they've got a lot of resources at hand. So always a plus. But it is kind of cool that I'm back in my home school district. Kind of nifty.
So before we roll out, I'm going to bring it back around since it sounds like there's a chance Brent might be here for NDK. Saturday is going to be, I've fallen into this tradition of running Magic tournaments, or I should say Magic gatherings, that you, with rules that you don't typically see. And so on Saturday, the one I'm going to be running is a community deck game that's free to play. And it's one huge deck in the center of the table for each group that's playing, and that's the deck you draw your cards from. And there's a rule in place to help make mana easier for everyone. But it should be fun and crazy, and there's no entry fee. So,
too bad I don't have my Star Trek deck ready.
Yeah, but that would be constructed, and this isn't constructed.
Well,
but you could,
fine.
Yeah, I know.
I'm not even.
And you don't want. Yeah, and I said it's a shared deck. You don't want to shuffle in your Star Trek cards and lose them.
Oh, that would suck. Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, we're just going to use the dojo's bulk pile of cards.
So you're just going to drive down from Great Lake Granby area, go to the con, come back? Highly recommend you get your tickets for the con now, because the prices go up as we get closer. I mean, actually, you may be too late. I'm not even sure. So
That's a 2-hour drive.
2-hour drive, a 2-hour drive.
Yeah. A Granby to Gaylord. Be aware, parking sucks.
Yeah, but I think that Brent's on a motorcycle.
That'll make it easier for sure. I mean, you could
Right.
just go around the gate too and then not pay, right?
Right. And put the motorcycle, just kind of like stick it to a wall.
With a posted putty.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you do with all motorcycles. So
Cool.
all right. Well, I think that is all the trouble we've got.
Yep. Make it there
Well,
by noon, and you can play in the Crocono tournament and maybe win a free pass next year. There. That's
not
all the
whole
time we got.
weekend.
Yeah.
There we go.
Oh,
You'll be in your car or train
or plane.
or automobile. Wait, we just
That
said
was,
that.
that was the first one. Yeah,
Oh, that always takes all the fun out of it.
I guess.
Golden Station, fair. Yeah, take to the A, and then the AB drops you off there. So that'll work. Cool. Well, that is all the time that we have. The next time we do a show will be the week before con.
Yeah.
So that'll be it.
That might be our
Coming up-
pre-Indy K episode where we talk about everything that's going to happen. You talk about your panels.
Yeah, I'll talk about all my panels, and you talk about all the gaming stuff. So join us then. If you're coming to NDK, this is the one to watch for our show, because I'll be talking about all the things I'm doing, and Troy will be talking about all the things that Troy's doing. In the meantime, now we're going to put Brent to bed. This is our new closing thing now. Go to bed, Brent.
Wow.
It'll become our thing.
Poor Brent.
Poor Brent. Anyway, all right. That's all the time we have for tonight. We'll see you next week. Thank you for joining us, Kristen. Thanks for joining us, Brenton, and the others who are lurking as well. And we will see you next week. And until then, I've been Guy.